So last night when I had time, of course, I've watched 3 games, 3 HBCU teams: South Carolina State, Mississippi Valley State, and Alabama A&M. What I'm going to say in this video, it may seem harsh, but it's the reality. And I'd like to add that this year in the SWAC, you can say MEAC too, but especially in the SWAC, this is not the year to have average to below average quarterback play. This is not the year to be run-centric without a dominant offensive line and no signal caller at the QB position. And this is not the year to put defenses on the field too long because the quarterback cannot make proper reads. I'm trying to tell you, this year's SWAC is going to be the most difficult, most competitive in years, competition-wise. And I'll chime in. Let's cut to the chase. I was very pissed off about a lot of games last night, especially Mississippi Valley State. Jelani Eason, I know he's a senior, but he's 5'9". And if you're going to be 5'9" and a quarterback, you better be fast as hell. You better have a strong arm, and you better see above the line better than most quarterbacks. You know what he is, Mississippi Valley State, and you still started him. He's a quarterback that can manage the game but won't win you a game. That's not going to cut it in the SWAC. There's too many good quarterbacks. So much so that most games you have to win shootouts. Instead of starting the number 1 JUCO quarterback, Jamari Jones, who I thought was going to start, or TJ Goodwin, who has a lot of potential, who transferred from UTEP, 6'6" quarterback. You went with Jelani Eason. When they did that move, I knew they were going to lose against Tarleton State, and Tarleton State was a winnable game. Now, I know they have a couple of transfers, but they didn't look like world beaters to me. And Bo Allen, the Kentucky transfer, he's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But what really helped Tarleton State was that since Mississippi Valley State did not draw up sustainable drives, and the passing game was pathetic. The passing game averaged 4 yards per pass. Jelani Eason threw from 9 for 17, 70 yards. That's horrible. Meaning Mississippi Valley State, made Tarleton's defense look like the 2013 Seattle Seahawks. It was that bad. And there's no way in hell that Ja'Cory Rankin should have 1 catch in a game. He's too talented for that. And as for the offensive play calling, I know you like to run, Mississippi Valley State, but why in the hell are you trying to run when you are only down by 2 scores at the time? Now, Caleb Johnson is a talented running back as well as Jacoby Thomas. Jacoby Thomas is a bruiser, 6 foot, I say about 240. And they did run for 203 yards. But unless you have an offensive line that's dominant in all 5 positions, you got to pass that damn ball. You got to help your defense out. They were on the field all day. Now, hopefully, Mississippi Valley State can rectify what they just performed in last season, it's not going to be easy. They got Austin P next. That's going to be a tough game. And Austin P is a lot better than Tarleton. I'm telling you right now, Valley fans, if I was the coach, I would play Jamari Jones or TJ Goodwin. Especially, I'll lean towards Jamari Jones. Do it before you play against Jackson State, which will be September 24th. Because as you know, after Austin P, Mississippi Valley State plays Delta State. But look at this. Tarleton, which they lost. Next game, Austin P. Delta State, a good Division II team, but they should be. And then after that, Jackson. And after Jackson State, FAMU. And then after FAMU, Alcorn. And after Alcorn State, Alabama State. Man, that's going to be a tough stretch. That's going to be a tough stretch for Mississippi Valley State. They got to figure it out. Because that last night's not going to cut it. You're not going to win very much games doing that. Now to Alabama A&M. This whole offseason, I've been hearing this narrative. And all through social media, all through Facebook, you name it. That the transfers for Alabama A&M is just what the doctor ordered to beat Jackson State. That's what we all been hearing. But when you can't beat regular FBS teams like UAB, it made UAB look like Georgia and Alabama. That's embarrassing. That was pathetic. And I don't want to be too tough on Quincy Casey. He used to play at Jackson State. I get that. I'm sure he's a good kid. But let me read you his stat line. Quincy Casey he started the game, by the way. He threw for 4 completions out of 11 attempts, 22 yards, and 2 interceptions. That is a terrible quarterback ranking. And I know people are going to say the offensive line is bad, but not to compare players. Shadir Sanders, I know he got the skill players last year, but it's a lot better this year. But last season, Shadir Sanders was running for his life and still made plays happen. So I don't want to hear about a bad old line when we saw that with Jackson State last season. Xavier Langford, he was the best quarterback, what I saw. Now, he did throw a pick 6, but then again, receivers, you got to catch the ball. You got to catch the ball. You got to make sure you know and run the proper routes to avoid those pick 6s. Miscommunication can lead to that. But Langford threw for 12 completions, 22 attempts, 115 yards. If you take away the pick 6, he had a normal game. It wasn't star-studded, but he had a normal game. Langford adds a running ability, a running threat. He had 42 yards running. But that was a terrible game, man. I mean, it was so bad that the UAB played literally almost everybody, even their third string. There's no way in hell you're supposed to lose to a Conference USA or a Sunbelt team 59-0. Not no damn 59-0. This is what SEC schools do when they play FCS competition. I tell you right now, if Alabama A&M played Georgia or any of those elite teams, I would not complain. I'll be like, I understand. This is against elite talent, but UAB, that is not an elite team. They're a good team. They're solid for the level they are in the FBS, but they're not elite to be doing that. This offseason, so many teams was trying to focus on beating Jackson State. That they didn't even worry about their own roster, their own game plan. Coach Maynard, he's a creative offensive mind. We get that. But brother, I know you had injuries, but this is unacceptable. And what about that defense that Alabama A&M was supposed to have? It looks like to me that they look the same as last season. Like they don't care about defense. That was embarrassing. I don't want to be too harsh on Alabama A&M. It's not the fans' fault. And shout out to the Bulldog fans. But that was embarrassing for the SWAC. And luckily, we have teams who are presentable with talent and great coaches. Maynard is a good coach. But that game was bad coaching, bad execution, and did not put HBCUs in a good light performance-wise. I'm glad to get to watch on TV, of course, because I won't be at the game, the Orange Blossom Classic, because you'll have two teams with two talented quarterbacks going against each other. That was utterly embarrassing. And if you're going to be playing money games and non-conference games, don't show up like that. You do what FAMU did against UNC. A better team, by the way, than UAB. Pathetic. And lastly, South Carolina State. They played against UCF, coached by Gus Malzahn. UCF has a talented quarterback transfer from Ole Miss named John Rhines Plumlee. And he looked the part. Now, South Carolina State's defense, I know the score was 56-10. I get that. But their defense is better than what that score presented. I watched the first half. Jabarski Green is a dog, man. You notice him every single snap. He had a fumble recovery. He let his presence be known. And he played very well against the UCF offensive line. Shaq Davis had a couple catches and a touchdown. Corey Fields was inaccurate, was getting hit a lot. South Carolina State has to share that up because the MEAC is improved, just like in a way of the SWAC improving in quarterbacks, MEAC has improved as well. Example, North Carolina Central. Davis Richard, who is coming back, is projected to be first team all MEAC. You're going against quarterbacks like that and many more. So the quarterback play has to be better for South Carolina State. Corey Fields is proven, but in that game, he should have played a lot better. UCF has a solid defense, but they're not world beaters. Let's keep it honest. Let's keep it real. So hopefully in the next few games, he can get his confidence back and play the level that he should be playing. But Buddy Pugh, he's going to have a competitive team. But when you play against certain FBS teams, especially ones with powerful offenses, it's going to be a long night. And I just wish that HBCUs, if you're going to schedule an FBS team, please know teams that can beat you 50-plus points. Schedule teams from the Sun Belt. Schedule teams from Conference USA. Schedule teams from, Mountain West. Something like that. Because I'm tired of seeing HBCUs getting whooped like this. And I don't want to hear about, well, we get ready for conference play. But what about the FCS non-conference teams? Protecting your image and your brand is what's important. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't schedule FBS teams. You can, but schedule smartly. And look at all the teams in the FCS you can schedule. Be creative. This is RawTruth Media giving you the raw content that you deservedly need. Stay blessed and have a great day.